Before we start today's show, today we want to give a big shout out to Buzz TV. Man, Buzz TV has some really good devices, man. Like this last year, they've come up with some good stuff, and this new year, I'm excited to see what they got.
Yo, it's going to be straight fire. Some devices and features, because I don't want to say one or the other. With Buzz TV, it's hand in hand. They've dropped some fire devices and some amazing features that are always taking things to the next level. We also have been in talks with Omni Labs Robotics, bringing their telecommunication devices and robots to the next level, bringing everybody closer together.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys, their telepresence that you get is very cool. If you guys don't know what telepresence is having a pretty much a robot in front of you where you are remoted somewhere else, and it's like you're there physically, but not really physically. You're there through the robot. It's very cool. Make sure you guys check them out in the description below. Make sure you guys do check out that link.
Talking about devices and streaming and all that stuff, you also want to make sure that no matter what you do online, you stay protected. There's so many VPN services out there. We talk about it all the time. Make sure that you guys try them out. You check them out. See which ones work best for you.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys do check out those VPNs. We do have a couple of them that we recommend in the description below. So make sure you guys do get those. Just get protected, guys. So don't forget to check out the description below for all of these guys that we have shouted out today.
You know, no matter where you guys are listening, watching, whatever from, make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button, that like, drop us a comment, and the reviews actually help us a great deal. If you're looking to do anything for us in this year coming and beyond, the reviews help other viewers like yourself find this podcast and enjoy it as well. So thank you guys. And with all that being said, let's start the show.
And welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Streams. Man, we've been having some good conversations with a lot of good people this year and been very excited. We've been talking about like audio devices. We're talking about like some cool movies coming out, robots taking over the world. Next level, what are you doing?
Man, I'm just super excited. It's not every day that we get to jump on a podcast with another Canadian. Most of the companies and people that we talk to are outside of Canada, so I'm excited about that. Having a conversation with another Canadian. But we just finished CES as well as TechFluence, and we started seeing how AI is literally a part of everything that's coming out now. So it's going to be interesting how much of a part AI is of this conversation, and how evolved our guest here is in the development of certain things when it comes to AI. So I'm super excited and interested for that.
Yeah, for sure. I think AI is like it's almost part of everybody's life. Like, what is that saying? 1 out of 3 people have a Netflix account, or they're sharing a Netflix account with somebody.
Yeah.
AI is. I hope I don't turn anybody's devices by saying this, but a lot of people have Alexa in their home. You know, they have some kind of device that they could say, you know, your Echo or your Google Assist or something, and I think it's pretty cool how we're adding a lot of stuff together to make our lives easier. So today we have Jeff. So hi, Jeff. How are you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing great.
If you could give the audience just a quick rundown of who you are, what do you do? That way they get a good feel of who Jeff is.
Sure. I'm Jeff Epstein, and that alone should cause some people's ears to perk up. I like to say I'm the good Jeff Epstein, and it's easier comparison now. And I work for a company called Comm100 Network Corporation, and we're based in Vancouver, British Columbia, and we do software for small business contact centers. So think of it as all the digital channels that small businesses need to use to connect with their customers. We offer them that conduit, and we give them a very fun, easy, simple console that lets them manage all those conversations in one place. And as you mentioned AI, it used to be the domain of IBM Watson and Alexa and all these big, powerful NLP engines. It seems so out of reach for the average business, and that's just not the case anymore. AI has rapidly been democratized. There's so many companies developing AI technology. It's so accessible, and now the challenge is to demonstrate to small businesses not only how easy it is to get into, but actually what it can do for them, right? There's a lot of buzzwords, a lot of talk about that, but the results are tangible, and I'm excited to share some stories with you, what we're doing with our customers in that domain.
You know, it's all making sense now, because before we started this recording, you had told us that you had listened to the podcast about DaySmart, and it sounds like you guys are kind of in similar fields by trying to help small businesses grow. You go about it a little bit differently. Are you doing it a little bit different where they are focusing on certain niches and you are able to pretty much apply what you guys do to any business because you're just trying to be that helping hand for them to communicate with any of their customers?
So we have one basic criterion, which is if you have a business that has customers, we're good for you. So it doesn't matter what vertical you're in. You might be in, you might sell handmade crafts for pets, or you might sell online storage services. You might be just a general e-commerce, local or regional player. If you have people you're dealing with online or through digital channels, then you need a platform that makes that simple and easy to do. So it really doesn't matter what the nature of your business is. It could be education. It could be e-commerce. Like I said, we even work with a lot of state and local governments around North America. So it scales.
So before I became a content creator, I ran a doggy daycare and boarding business, right? Obviously, I had a website as well, but how would you approach somebody with a small business and I guess show them how valuable your product is to me and how I can use it to my advantage?
So there's two real, I guess, stories that we tell small businesses that are thinking about it. First of all, by mere fact of us having a conversation, they're recognizing that, oh, I have a bit of trouble here. I'm getting lots of emails or phone calls or questions on my website, and I just don't feel like I'm on top of that. I don't feel like I'm really giving my customers the service that they're expecting. And the harsh reality is, you might run, doggy daycare service in your local town, but your customers, they're comparing the service you give to the service they're getting off Amazon or Walmart or Canadian Tire, as the case may be up here in the north. And so while they recognize that you're a small business, they've been conditioned and they expect tier one technology, tier one customer service. And it's hard typically for small businesses to get over that hump, right? So what do we do? Well, we're going to give you the tools that let you capture those conversations. Maybe it's a tweet that's sent to you. Maybe it's a post on your Facebook page. Maybe it's an email you're getting, or somebody's trying to chat with you on your website saying, hey, do you have any availability today? I have a last minute, I got to drop my pet off real quick because I have a doctor's appointment that I forgot about. And they need a quick answer, right? They need that quick response, and they need a personalized answer. And that's the platform that we give our businesses so that they can now compete with these more sophisticated, larger businesses now they've done the dirty work for you. So all these big businesses, and they've funded companies like ours to develop technology because we sell big multi, 6-digit figure contracts. But hey, we're democratic here. We want everybody to benefit from it.
Right.
So we're bringing that technology that's been proven in the enterprise down to the small business level. Say, hey, you don't have to settle anymore. You can now take advantage of the tools that the big guys use to deliver the service your customers are expecting.
It's a super interesting point that you make. A lot of technology and development and innovation when it comes to products goes into research and development, right? Get all the big companies to spend all the money on research and development, and then when it's tried, tested, and true, then the mom and pops can have it. So I just want to make sure that I understand exactly what you just said. Were you guys saying that you can pull information from multiple sources, like you're saying tweets and Facebook, and how does that whole process look like? Like, how are you pulling all the information and being able to communicate like that? Because that's pretty. I have to say it. Rohas is gonna laugh at me, but next level stuff.
every time.
So it does sound complicated, right? Because you know that you have a login for Facebook and maybe you have an Instagram account, and sure, everybody has email and maybe they do it on their phone or they use Outlook, and they all seem like they're kind of siloed information channels. Well, what we do is we give you either a web-based or even a mobile app interface that lets you connect all your accounts on those different channels. So now you can get those conversations all flowing into one place. So you only have to log in to Comm100 and you can respond to tweets. You can answer people on Facebook, whether that's posts or Messenger. You could obviously take chats on your website or in your mobile app if you have one. And you could even manage your email. So if you have a customer service email account or an info@ type account, well, that'll flow into Comm100 and you can manage all those emails and respond right from there. So you don't need Outlook anymore. You don't need to log into Twitter directly. You can do it all from Comm100.
Cool. So, okay. So within this platform, when you're in there, this is one of the things that I have issues with. I just started. Literally, I just opened up a Twitter. Everybody kept telling me, open up a damn Twitter. That's where everybody is at. And I'm just like, but I don't want it. I'm like, no, it's another thing. It's too complicated. It's always an excuse. So I've had my Instagram, and I have a personal one, and then I have my Rojas reviews one. I'm very lazy when it comes to going on there and posting something. I'll be all hyped up, and I knew this was going to happen with Twitter. I'm like, okay, let me get on it. Let me figure this out. And I'm like, cool, this is awesome. I'm in there like daily posting something, saying something, tagging people. And then the hype just kind of falls down. It's just like, man, now what do I do? And one of the things that I wish, and I'm kind of curious if with you guys, if you guys do this. I know with Instagram, you could post a picture and say, send it to Twitter, send it to Facebook. Sometimes, and actually not sometimes, most of the time, the translation is not the same when it goes to those platforms. So if I'm saying, hey, I want to post a picture, and then I want to post whatever my description is with the tags, with whoever I'm tagging, the hashtags and links, I guess, does your platform, can I do it all in one spot where you could say, hey, this is exactly what I want, go?
All right. So let's paint a picture for the small business operator. So let's use doggy daycare as an example. I don't know where I came up with that one, but we'll just use that one. So you wake up in the morning and you open up your shop and you fire up, your email and all that. And Rohas, to address your question, you want to think of Comm100 as your customer service platform. So it's not your broadcast to the world, communicate what I'm doing today in my doggy daycare. Hey, we got a special for Dalmatians today. I don't know if that's a thing, but maybe it is. It's not about broadcasting from a marketing perspective. It's about customer service. So Next Level is going to get inquiries by email or by Twitter, or he's going to get his doggy daycare center mentioned by a happy customer, or maybe an unhappy customer, but I doubt that. They're going to mention his, at Next Level Daycare. And he's going to see that come in to Comm100, and either it's a question about a service, or or he's being mentioned casually, and he can now reply back to that person. So you wouldn't go into Comm100 and set up like a Hootsuite, for example, where you program your outbound tweets and your marketing messages and the comments you want to make. Think of it as you're listening to the Twitter sphere and email and the web for people talking about your business, either directly or indirectly, and now you're able to respond to them.
That makes sense.
So,
yeah.
So by bringing everything into one, house, you're able to manage all of your communications in a more productive way. Sorry.
Yeah, and when you're a small business, you don't have time to do all that. You don't have time to log in and I got to go log in over here and do my tweets and log in over here and answer my emails. What if you can do it when you just finished a meeting off site with a new supplier, and you jump into your car and you take out your mobile app and you go, oh, I got a live chat here. I got to talk to a customer. Or, oh, somebody just sent me an email asking about a refund or status of a delivery. Yeah, I can answer that right here from my mobile app, right? So now you're on the go, wherever it is you're doing business, You don't have to stop. You don't have to change, sit down and think about, okay, now I got to put my customer service hat on and log into my customer service platform. It's all there for you waiting.
I know I'm pretty terrible myself as a content creator. In order for us to survive, we have to be on as many platforms as possible, and not only just be there, but be active. Like Rohas was saying, he had to be on Twitter because everyone's saying that's where you got to be, right? Same thing with me. I didn't really want to be on Twitter. I was on Facebook before, but I decided to leave Facebook and go to another platform now. But my main thing is I hate emails. I absolutely I would rather just message back and forth. Rojas knows it. He's like, if you want to get a hold of Next Level, just email him. And I'm like, no, they can message me on Telegram or Instagram or Twitter or wherever. But the idea of kind of aggregating everything into one place makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. Because my thing was I hated getting messages on every single platform and, waiting for responses. If everything came in as a message and it was all in one place, it makes sense to me, right? What kind of features or tools are kind of implemented into it that makes it more useful, that takes it to the next level? Because we talked a little bit about how AI might be involved. How is that implemented? I understand that the messages are all coming into one place, but what happens after that?
Sure. So there's two things that you can do with AI when it comes to delivering that service and managing all the inbound. One is you can automate the responses, right? So you can connect a bot to your Twitter feed, to your website, and you can have the bot take those inquiries and respond based on how you've programmed that bot, how it's reading the questions, and how you're connecting it to the sources of information that you need to resolve those questions. So that level of automation, that's real, guys, and you know that. Hopefully everybody listening also knows that. Most consumers, I think Forrester last year in December said that about 65% of consumers have interacted at least once with the chatbot. So everybody knows what it is. And really underneath it all, the business owners are probably more reluctant than the consumers are to actually take advantage of that. Why? The consumers just want an answer to their question. Yeah. They don't really care where it comes from. If it's a bot and the bot gives them the answer they're hoping for, great, they can get on with their day and they're happy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that level of automation is to say it's within reach is a gross overstatement of the complexity. It is here, it is now. And what we saw in the last 12 to 18 months with COVID actually was a rapidly increasing pace of adoption, because the conditions were ripe for vendors, for the supply side to be pushed into that automation market. They were reluctant because they didn't think their customers wanted it, but COVID and the pandemic proved otherwise, because people had urgent questions and just needed an answer. So we have customers like, for example, the state of Texas, who, when COVID hit and they closed down, this is the Office of Attorney General for the state of Texas, COVID hit, they had to close down their operations. All their agents, they had to move off the phone because their phone system couldn't work from home. It was a legacy on-premise phone system.
Uh-huh.
Right. So they fired up an extra 100 licenses of Comm100. They moved all their agents over to live chat, and they didn't miss a beat. And now their customers had to get used to going to the website. Instead of hitting phone, they hit chat, right? So very easy transition for customers. And they didn't miss a beat. And that was a huge part. And as they rolled that out, they then learned, well, I think about 40 or 50% of these questions I can automate with the bot, because it's really not worth an agent's time 100%. To answer the same question over and over again, right?
Yeah.
So let me fire up a chatbot to field those questions, and voila, I've shortened my queues, I've gotten people answers, made people happy, and away they go.
Right.
So that's one level of automation. The other level of automation, let's not forget the agents. So the people taking the chats, well, they need help too, right? They might not be masters of every technical aspect of the product or service. So imagine some technology like Alexa, if you will, kind of listening into their conversations with customers. And then, oh, this customer's talking about availability for daycare next week. Let me pull up the schedule. Here's what you have available next week. So now the technology, the AI technology, is now helping the agent find the answers more quickly than they can themselves.
So I just want to just get a little bit more in depth about that. So for one, I love automation. So for instance, this year I've been looking at automating a lot of what I do online to try to free up some of my time. So for instance, a lot of the articles or the information that I would share on my social media feeds, I started pulling them into RSS feeds and having them post automatically for me. So that's great. My Twitter is running automatically. It's posting all the articles that I would typically post. But then you have the other side of it, the messages coming in. Great. So the automations and the AI, are they able to filter out specific keywords from those messages coming in so that it can connect it to an automatic response? Or how does that process look like?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Next Level. So they'll pick up on keywords or key phrases in those messages, and they'll in a blink of an eye, they'll scan their internal database and go, I have an answer to that one. You know, I've seen this question 100 times. I know what the answer is. High confidence answer, and away it goes. Now, I mentioned a couple of things there that I don't want to be lost on the audience. Bots are still technology. They're still only good at putting out what you put into them, right? Even artificial intelligence, it's a tiny bit of a misnomer at this level. At this level for chatbots, you do have to tell the chatbot what to say. You have to tell the chatbot when you see this keyword or this phrase, then they're talking about this issue here, and here's the answer that you want to feed. So that's automation there, right? That's one part of it. The other part, to take it even to a higher level, which might blow your brains. I hope you're sitting down here. But imagine if you can actually figure out who is sending it and decide then if you want it to be a bot answer or patch them right through to a real human. So think of a VIP customer. Think of your doggy daycare, and there's somebody who's been with you for 4 years, and they're a super loyal customer, and it doesn't matter if they're wealthy or whatever, but you've determined they're a VIP. And you as a business can say, you know what, I don't ever want a VIP talking to a chatbot. So every time that person opens up a chat or tweets or sends a message on SMS, it's going to go right to a live agent to handle. Why? Because that's the service level that you've decided you want to deliver to that kind of customer.
Right.
And by the way, it doesn't mean that somebody else can't escalate to a human if they want to. One of our first rules of business when we go to a customer to build them a chatbot, it's a bit of Isaac Asimov here. It's like, the whole do no harm, right? Robots can do no harm. The first question is, you have to decide what you want your chatbot to do, and you should always let that visitor escalate to a human whenever they want, right? Never keep somebody locked down in a chatbot discussion. That's a recipe for potential frustration. And what does frustration do? It kills your CSAT, right? You don't want that.
Yeah. I've experienced plenty of chatbots where I'm just like, customer support. Like, I know you're a bot.
agent. And it's a trade-off, because the customer service team has to balance their volume with the level of service they're trying to deliver.
Right.
But be true to your customer service goals, right? And I'm gonna tie that back into Twitter. So you have a customer who just picked up their pet and they're heading off to go get their kids from school, and they just love you. They just love you because you saved their day, and they send out a quick tweet, or a message on Instagram to their friends going, "Oh, I just love Next Level Daycare. It's the best thing since sliced bread."
Next level.
Bing, you get a notice in Comm100 that you were just mentioned in this tweet, right? And so now you could actually respond, show the gratitude, show that you're listening is half the battle, right? For a small business, just show that you're listening. And we make that super easy for small businesses to do.
That's cool. That's actually really cool, because I know there's plenty of times that I've missed. Like, I'm still a baby with Twitter. I'm just like, okay, whatever, just scanning through, and somebody's like, hey, somebody mentioned you somewhere. I'm like,
what?
Yeah, where do I check that? And then, like, click on this thing and go there and go. I'm like, okay, look, I'm gonna go eat. I'm hungry right now. Trade for this. So what I guess this is really neat how it does that. It dings you and you're getting notified, or when people are trying to communicate with you. So everything is coming in. I guess my question now is, what are all the different platforms that you can connect this to?
Great question. So the entry level platforms that come standard with Comm100 are live chat. So that's for your website and your mobile app if you have one. Email. So if you have a info at, service at, whatever email account you want. WhatsApp for business is another channel. Text messaging, SMS. So if you have a mobile number that you use for service and support, fire that up. Facebook and Twitter. And we also do WeChat, which isn't a huge app in North America yet, but it's growing. So all those platforms come standard with the Comm100 free program that we offer to our customers.
That's cool. Now, what if there's let's just say like right now, Next Level and I like to use Telegram. It's a really good spot for people to go there and like communicate with each other. Let's just say there's another program that comes down the line, or maybe even like a Telegram. Like they were just like, hey, this one's really good, and people could actually, the way they tag us is they put the @ sign, and then they could just put our name on there, and then we could typically see it. Like it says, it has like a little notification thing, and you just click on your thing, and then it shoots you right down to the message. So if there's apps like future apps or even current apps, is there something that we could like almost customize and say, hey, this is an app that we're currently using, or a year from now, hey, this is a brand new app, can we implement it?
Sure. So the mantra here at Comm100 is the phone is dead. Nobody's picking up a phone to call a company anymore. I mean, it's not entirely true. We all know that. But the writing's on the wall. The future of customer service is digital, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to be following our customers and the market into the channels that are popping up to be viable, meaningful customer service channels. So the Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp for Business and SMS are by far the most adopted digital channels, right? Aside from email. So things like Telegram and Fiverr and other channels that are emerging, the digital platform is there to easily connect to down the road when that becomes a priority for our customers.
It's awesome that you're able to integrate and just keep evolving. I strongly agree with you. And I think that, just like my viewpoint and your viewpoint on the phone, it's only going to get exponentially more predominant that way. Before I reach out and I call any company, I'm like, do they have a Twitter? Do they have a Facebook? Can I message them through those platforms? And I am more likely to just send off a message, even if they don't respond to me right away, and just think that they're going to get back to me sooner than later, than wait for 2 hours on a phone in a queue. Because I mean, I've gotten companies now that they're like, we have to communicate with you. Please call us back. And I'll try to call them. And they're like, wait time is 2 hours. And I'm like,
not happening. I just switched mobile phone providers and I did it all on live chat. Didn't talk to a person. Right.
Wow.
And I did it all. They authenticated me. They checked my credit history. They did all that stuff, and it's all secure. And I mean, we got to talk about that. We got to talk about the backbone, because one of the potential challenges of digital is the data safe, right? So we have to talk about that in a minute. But you're right. Customers don't want to wait, and they've been spoiled by lots of big companies to not have to wait. And to say they're spoiled, it's not fair to the customer because they're entitled. We're busy people. We have things to do, places to go, people to see, kids to drop off. I'm not going to sit on the phone. I'm going to send you an email or a tweet. And I know if it's social like Twitter, I'm not expecting an immediate answer. So that's built in to that customer service promise is you got to pick this up in the next 15, 20 minutes to get back to me, but I don't need an answer right now. Now, how we help further with that is any conversation that comes in on any of those channels to the doggy daycare center, you want to flag it for follow-up later because it's maybe not so urgent, or you need to go and talk to another supplier to get a deeper answer. So you convert it to what's called a ticket or a case, and then you mark it for follow-up later when you have the answer. And then you could respond either back in the native channel where the original conversation came from, or if it's a customer and you have their contact info in a contact manager, you could pick up the phone and call them. You can send them an email. You could, send them a tweet, whatever it is, or a Facebook Messenger, and you can give them the answer when you have it for them. And now, what have you done, Rohas? You mentioned, people losing track of conversations and where is it in the thread. That worry is gone because all you have to do is flag something for future follow-up. Oh, and if you want somebody else to pick it up, then just assign it to them in Comm100, and it'll appear on their My Conversations list. with a deadline of when they're expected to respond, right? So they're not going to get lost.
Were you just saying that this can be fed to multiple people to communicate to their customers? Like, let's say I have a business partner and both of us can receive the message, but if, let's say, Rojas responds instead of I do, then that's kind of him owning that conversation, and then it goes back and forth between him and I don't see it anymore. How does that work?
That's absolutely right. So you can have an unlimited number of users in Comm100. Doesn't matter how many customer service reps or team members or associates you have. Anybody can get a login, right? And then whoever picks up that conversation, they own it. And when you log in next level, yeah, you don't see it because it's in Rojas's feed. So there's no clutter, right? There's no clutter.
And it keeps it very personable, right? Instead of, a customer feeling like they're being handed around like a hot potato, they have a dedicated person that's dealing with them if your business is a little bit larger than a small mom and pop place. So I really like that. That's a really nice touch to have on that, for sure.
And there's a safety net in place. So let's say you're the team lead on the support and delivery and service side of the business, and you've given somebody else has taken on a conversation. Well, you as the admin can actually observe the conversation, kind of from a distance, digitally speaking. You can see the conversation, and if you wanted to join in, you could. If you wanted to take that person out because they're not handling it the way you'd like them to, you could remove them from that and take over the conversation. So you have an element of quality control built in as well. It's not the Wild West. You don't have to worry about what's Rojas going to say now?
He's at it again.
He's at it again. I was just gonna say too. So my previous life, I used to work at a hospital, and I used to do data and reporting analysis. We had a guy that created all of our internal websites, our whole intranet. He just built everything, and then I was doing everything on the flip side, all the database work, all the stuff to pull that data in, and then to tell the bosses, hey, this is all the work that's coming in and out, this is all the data that's coming in and out. And what you're saying right now is, it reminds me a lot of what we used to do with our ticketing system, because we didn't have a ticketing system. And one thing that we always wanted to see is, when somebody gets a task, how does that look like? Somebody gets a task, when did they receive it? How long did it take for them to complete something? How did they complete it? Did they do it in, was it high efficient, or were they just dragging their feet? How do you audit that? How do you audit the auditor above that too? So it took us several months to build this thing from the ground up, like literally from nothing. When it comes to this is, I really like how, the one thing that we never did was that somebody else can jump in and pretty much help with that situation or take over. The way we had to do it here was a very manual process. We had to go into the database, into SQL, write down the task and say, hey, this person's now taking ownership, so that way it'll fall off over there and come over there. There were just so many components to do. And I kept telling them, we need to find a company that can do this instead of us trying to figure it out. Because right now it's taken, I want to say it literally took us 8 months. It was like 8 months. And I called it like a pregnancy is what it was. I'm like, this is like being pregnant. It's like frustrating the whole time, And I'm like, we need to figure this out. And they actually never did figure it out. They just kind of left it there, like broken. And one, like for me, for my job was reports. Like, how could we get this back? How could we report back? So if Next Level is the boss, and I'm over here as a supervisor or an agent or whoever, I guess how does that reporting system work? Where can you get like automated reports to say, hey, this is, every time he comes in Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. and he sits down, there's an auto email already in his inbox saying, hey, this is everything that happened. Here are the metrics. Like, do you guys have anything in place with that too?
Yeah, you're talking some pretty sophisticated level, like contact center management, right? Team management tools. There are two things in particular that we offer small businesses to get into that domain and take advantage of that. The first is, you might be familiar with the term service level agreement, which basically it's a promise that you make, right? It's a promise to the customer that I'm going to get back to you in 2 hours. Or if it's an urgent hair on fire type situation, the SLA, service level agreement, is I'll get back to you in 5 minutes. So when a case comes in, or when a conversation starts with you, and you convert it to a ticket for follow-up, the clock starts to tick. You can now establish what those SLAs, what you want those to be, and you can now measure your team against how well they are meeting that promise that you're trying to give your customers. Are they solving that in the 2 hours? Are they first responding and acknowledging that it's come in the first 10 minutes? Are they then responding to it and closing it in the 2 hour window that you've assigned? And that's all customizable by the business, because not every business runs the same, right? So that's one level of command and control you can put in at the front. Now in the back, the reporting side that you mentioned, you nailed it. It's so important for team admins and team leads to have the metrics and the KPIs and the numbers to show how their team is doing. So we produce a number of reports that are native to the system, which tell you something like workforce reports. So how many of your team have logged in on a given period of time, day, week, month, year, whatever it is, of the number of agents you have, how much time have they spent logged in? Something that's called a productivity report. So when they're logged in, how much time are they spending on conversations versus just waiting for conversations to start? That's another one, right? And then there's a bunch of other metrics like customer satisfaction. At the end of each chat, for example, you can do what's called a post-chat survey and ask the visitor to give you a ranking out of 5 stars. How did we do, right? So now you can measure your agents' performance based on customer satisfaction results. And all this gets aggregated by individual or by team and by company, right? So now you can start benchmarking and comparing how individual people are doing. And it's so important to get there because, look, your business is your life, it's your heart and soul, and nobody should be messing with it. You have standards and you have expectations, and your entire team has to be on board and held accountable to that. Now you can do it with really not a lot of effort.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that is I'm going to go back to the, like, with the whole call center thing. A lot of stuff with this hospital, because, you know, they're getting calls in and out all the time. They started to do that chat box like halfway through this whole ticketing system, and it was doing good. I was like, cool, now we're adding another layer that we need to, because sometimes the phone calls, like I do agree with you. The phone calls are gonna slowly go away, and everybody's just gonna open up an app or open up their phone, and just that's how they're gonna take care of stuff. And you're starting to see that more and more and more, like year after year after year. So when it comes to like dynamics, when you get a dynamic chart, when you get or a dashboard, you see, like, you know, again, I'm the supervisor, or actually, you know, I'll be the agent. Next Level is my boss still. So Next Level's right there, and he's got all these different charts, and he's working away. He's glancing at this chart thing. Can it also pull stuff dynamically where it's like, hey, you know, all these messages are coming through. These never got answered. These got answered. Is it like live as it's happening? Is there like a specific refresh rate as it's going?
Sure. So the initial dashboard that you log into when you go to the Comm100 dashboard tab on the application, it's all real time. So when you log in there, you're seeing who's on my website right now, how many agents are logged in, how many chats are ongoing, how many people are waiting in the queue for somebody to pick up that chat, or how many tickets are currently open. So you get to see that real time, you know, snapshot of right now what's happening in my customer service team. And then you could click into a report and you can set the time frame that you want to look at it more deeply. Do I want the last day, the last week, the last month, the last year? And you can start to slice and dice the data in the ways that make sense for the analytics that you want to execute. But the first experience is real time, what's happening right now. And by the way, that includes how many conversations is my bot taking, and how many has the bot successfully closed, meaning no escalation to a human, right?
Oh, that's cool.
And also, what is the confidence rate of bot answers, and what is the satisfaction rate of the visitors? Because you have to be asking people for feedback, right? Not everybody will give it to you, but you got to ask, because that's how you get better.
100%. 100%. Now I have to highlight this because I think this is true, but I want to confirm. You guys offer a lot of features, and a lot of what we've talked about, you also have a freemium plan. Can you tell us a little bit more about the freemium plan? Like if I'm a small business and I want to figure out, is this right for me? Is there a certain level of a startup where the freemium plan is sufficient? And at what point do they need to get to the next level?
I see what you did there.
Again.
Great question. So Comm100 Free, which is our freemium plan, and for the audience that might not be familiar with the term, freemium means it's free, and you get to use a certain package of features for as long as you want without paying a penny ever. So typically in software companies, that's like a very entry-level solution. Well, the live chat market, the digital customer engagement market is a bit more mature than that. And we chose to be a little disruptive with our freemium plan by offering our customers way more in a free plan than you get from the vast majority of our competitors. Specifically, it includes all the channels that Rohas asked about. So Twitter and Facebook, WhatsApp for business, email, live chat. It also includes a knowledge base, which, if you don't know, a knowledge base is a self-serve resource. Think of like Wikipedia for your company, right? So rather than somebody talking to an agent or looking for a website, they can ask the knowledge base they say, I want to know how to sign up a new pet for the doggy daycare. And you have a knowledge base article that now somebody can access right in the chat window without even talking to anybody. Well, that's included in Comm100 Free as well. So now you're getting into the self-serve. I don't have, it's after hours. I don't have an agent manning the chats. My knowledge base is going to cover me for that, right? So you get all that in the free plan for an unlimited number of users for as long as you want.
Wow.
So where do you bump into limitations in terms of as you grow and get more sophisticated? So there are really two places that you need to think about as your business grows. The first one is, how much corporate memory do I want for these conversations? Because the free plan stores 60 days of history. If you're in a business that has a longer memory requirement than that, like healthcare or education or anything else, or just your own culture, then if you want to go to a year or 2 years of history, that's an upgrade to a paid plan. The other place you upgrade is, and we haven't talked about this yet, on the security side of things, if you're in the healthcare space and like the hospital you used to work at, Rohas, and you are now subject to HIPAA compliance, Health Insurance Portability and Accessibility Act, then that is a bit of a hurdle in terms of the requirements to have Comm100 take on some of the risk to protect you there. So that's not something that we could offer for free, nor does anybody else in that matter. But that's really only healthcare providers, right? If you're an e-commerce site or a local retail shop or a daycare center, you're never going to need to worry about that. And I just want to touch really quickly on what I mentioned early on about security. One of our big differentiators to Next Level, and I think you'll appreciate this, and you too, Rohas, having been in IT, is customers expect security and privacy as if they're dealing with Amazon, right? They need to know that their personal data is safe, their credit card information is safe, their conversations are encrypted and safe. Doesn't matter what business you're in, that's the bar. The bar is that high. So we bring that all to the table as a baseline. We are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, which, if you're not familiar, is a requirement in the financial services sector to maintain data integrity and protection security. We are ISO 27001 compliant, which is a guideline for how software companies build and maintain their software and maintain standards of security and protection for their own data as well as their customers' data. We are PCI DSS compliant, which is credit card processing. So when you enter a credit card in a chat window, it's going to be obfuscated and it's not going to be stored in the system because that's a no-no for transaction, right? So we bring that all to the table as a baseline because, well, like I said, Small businesses are entitled to that level of service and support as well, not just the big guys.
So the freemium can get most small businesses through what they need to get through. Now, the freemium, were you saying the free holds up to 60 days? And if they need more than that, that's when they would upgrade, or the free?
Correct.
Right. And
by the way, Next Level, unlimited number of chats and conversations too. We don't put a limit on how many conversations you can have a month, because that's just silly.
But even if the conversation falls off after 60 days on your platform, I could still log into my Twitter and see it, could I not?
Yes, so absolutely. If it's a live chat, then it would only live in Comm100. But if it's on a social channel, correct, it will live eternally there.
Now, what's the difference between a live chat through Comm100 and someone sending me messages back and forth through Twitter that I'm getting on Comm100, just so that the average person understands the scenarios?
So with live chat, you're going to take a little tiny bit of HTML code and you're going to drop it on your website. What that's going to do is that's going to open up a tunnel. It's going to put a chat button on your website, and it's going to allow somebody to click on it and start a chat with you. And that chat, goes over the internet, comes into your agent console in the background, and it's a one-way connection between the agent console and your website. There's no intermediaries other than your internet backbone. With Twitter is its own network, and somebody's going to either click on a tweet button, they're going to log into Twitter, they're going to mention you, and we're going to be an interface to allow you to not have to log into Twitter to handle those. We're going to give you another way of accessing it, but the conversation will always live on Twitter. We're just going to give you a way to access it and reply to it without having to go to Twitter to do that.
Now, earlier, did you mention something about licenses as well? Is it just the storage that they're really upgrading to, or is there something else, that other features that they can get if they wanted?
There, like a lot of software companies, there are some, what I call enterprise grade features that a small business likely will never need unless they hit that, 20, 30, $40 million in revenue size, in which case they're really no longer a small business. So those are reserved for like the state of Texas, like I mentioned, or Peninsula Health is another HIPAA client of ours. And they've had an amazing story with what they've done with our platform as a result of COVID-19 and especially vaccinations. But those are unique use cases that the typical small business will never, ever need, right? So yeah, if your doggy daycare evolves into a veterinary program, because you bring on a vet and now you need HIPAA or the equivalent, HIPAA, I don't know what you'd call it for pets, but you can level up to get that level of security, right? But until you hit that wall, free forever, unlimited number of users, unlimited number of conversations.
So is there certain plans, like let's say somebody wanted to, like a doggy daycare, because we keep using this example, but they wanted to keep it for more than 60 days, are there incremental plans, or it's just, a one shoe fits all, which I highly doubt it is, but what would that look like? So if I was a doggy daycare, walk me through the scenario. Like, let's say I wanted to keep, what would be the next step? Like if I wanted to keep it for 3 months, 6 months, a year, is that something that's fine tuned, or do you have pre-built packages, or how does that work?
Great question. We have pre-built packages. So if you find that 60 days is not sufficient for your business, then the next step up is a year, right? And that means you have to upgrade to the business plan. And then you're going to pay a per agent fee for the software as your license. And now you have a year's worth of history kept in your system. And if that's not enough and you want 2 years, then you go to the enterprise plan. But in all honesty, Next Level, it's the rare case where 60 days is not sufficient for a small business. And if it is, then it's a question of what's it worth to you. If that's part of your service promise, then it's available. You just have to upgrade to get to it, which is a very common software as a service model, right? It's different levels of plans based on how sophisticated my business needs to be.
It's pretty awesome, because it sounds like you guys are giving such an awesome tool and utility to the average person that needs it. And your goal is to help them grow to a point where it only makes sense to upgrade to a business plan at that point, because they've grown to a level where they need it. and it all makes sense, and they're bringing in those customers and they're bringing in that revenue. It's a really respectful business model, to be honest with you, and I really do appreciate just learning all about the company and how you guys have implemented it, and hearing some of the stories and the situations with the doggy daycare, because it's an awesome conversation, man. I love it.
Some people might think that because we're a Canadian company, we're very socialist and we like to give stuff away for free like the government. But that's that we're not that altruistic, right? We know that small businesses deserve and demand this kind of capability. And we have ambition to, like I said, we want to disrupt the marketplace right now. We want to capture a lot of market share. And this is how we're choosing to do it, by giving more than what you would expect to get for a small business software platform. And knock your business out of the park, right? Bring on as many customers as you need. And we're not going to get in your way. We're not going to put artificial limitations on that.
Yeah. So what's next with Comm100 then?
So what's next is bringing the chatbot capability into the free product as well, because that's right now it's an upgrade, but in just a couple of months, we're releasing a version of our chatbot that's going to be part of the free plan. So I hope you're sitting down. But yes, you heard that right. If you're a small business and you know what, you're closing at 6 o'clock, but you're getting questions from all over the world or whatever, fire up your chatbot and let it help you out and take those answers. And we're gonna give you a version of a chatbot that's gonna do that for you, so you won't have to turn away those conversations. That's one thing that's coming. Rohas, you mentioned other channels, other social channels down the pipe. Whatever our customers are going to demand. If they want Telegram because they're getting all their business coming through, then we'll fire up Telegram for them. So the roadmap is built to be flexible and dynamic in terms of channels, and also deliver more and more value in terms of capabilities with our core platform to our customers.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super cool. I know a lot of companies, normally when it hits a certain time, that's it. They're done. They're out, and it'll be cool to have that bot where it could at least help answer some questions and get some stuff going. So that's very neat. So I wanted to say thank you for coming on to the show. And if you could give the audience like just one last bit of information on where they can find you, or how they can get connected with your stuff, that'll be great also.
Yeah, thanks. So you can find us at comm100.com. That's COMM, like communication, 100.com. And you can sign up right then there for the free platform. No credit card required. All we need is an email address to sign you up, and you can get started. And once you get that chat code on your website, you can be up and running in minutes. We're talking here. So come by comm100.com, check it out, see if it's right for you.
I'm super excited. This whole conversation has my brain going, because I believe, we're so busy as individuals, always trying to find free time. I think that everybody could use a little bit of Comm100 in their pocket. As a content creator, I could drop a video and then get messages all related to that video on YouTube. And if I have that AI in my pocket that's automatically able to answer the same question that I'm getting repeatedly asked, it works for me. So I think that this has a lot of good things going for it. Even if you don't classify yourself as a business, a lot of us are entrepreneurs or have our own things going for it. So I really do appreciate what you guys are doing over there. We are going to leave all the links in the description of the video if you guys are watching on YouTube, or if you're listening to any of the podcast platforms, wherever it is. Make sure that you guys leave us a review and a comment. Let us know what you guys think of Comm100 in the comment section down below. So thanks again, Jeff. I really do appreciate having this conversation, and I hope that we have many more coming soon. I definitely think that there's going to be some interest from me following up maybe on how to manage my messages better, because I drop the ball sometimes. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, if you're looking for tips on how to do that better, check out our blog. We have tons of helpful resources on how to build a live chat team and how to use scripts to make things faster. It's been a real pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share what we do with your audience.
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, on behalf of both of us on the Beyond the Streams channel, thanks again for coming. Anybody out there listening, make sure you guys do check out in the description. We'll have all that information there, and stay tuned to the next episode, because you really don't know what's going to happen. So we've been having a lot of good conversations with a lot of different companies, a lot of different people, And yeah, just stay tuned. So make sure you guys are subscribed, and make sure you guys are following us, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.
Peace.